Hello, and welcome to another episode of Design Tips and Sips with me, Anna Gibson, with AKG Design Studio, the show that brings you design, lifestyle, tips, and also sips. So today we have Paula Kennedy, and she's all the way from Seattle. So we are drinking coffee. Her favorite drink is actually the venti latte. She'll tell us in a minute. So, welcome to our show. I'm really, really excited for you today. And the topic we're going to be talking about today is food waste. Food waste in the US is one of the biggest problem in the food industry. Is actually, as far as I'm concerned, is a pandemic. And I am really, really excited to have my friend Paula Kennedy all the way from Seattle. Thank you so much for waking up early to join us on here on the East Coast. You were the first one that actually taught me about this subject and the issue of food waste and how we can combat it. But before we jump into it, please introduce yourself and tell us about you, what you're doing, your company, and all that good stuff.
Oh, thank you so much, Anna. Thank you. And for everyone who's watching today, yes, I am a coffee girl from Seattle. And yeah, so I'm a see, certified master kitchen and bath designer. I've been doing this for over 25 years now, believe it or not. And I do full, interior design as well, but my specialty definitely is kitchen and bath. And that's where I've really become an expert in that field. And over time, I've also gotten passionate about teaching and education. And along with that, I get to do a deep dive on research on the topics that I'm passionate about. And then I get to turn around and teach it and share it with others. So I just believe that wellness, home design, and wellness, and universal design, and the environment, it all blends together, and we can't really separate all of these different design methodologies or these issues in our home anymore. I think it's all fits under wellness design. So food preservation and food quality in our homes is really important to me. So thanks for having us here today, Anna.
Absolutely. So as we kind of dived a little bit onto it, is the biggest problem is that we love buying food. We have big pantries. We have refrigerators. You and I, we've been in the industry for a long time. So you've been 25. I've been 21, also, not that far away from you. And I can see that as far as appliances, refrigerators are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Even like the smallest standard size refrigerator, I think when I started, they were about 65 inches high, 68, right? That was standard. And now, all our clients have the issue that trying to replace the old refrigerators and they don't fit because the new refrigerator, the standard one, probably about 70 to 72. So, and we see all that bulk shopping from the big box stores, and we're filling our homes with food. And I think also after COVID, it's probably got even worse, I would say, because we had that scarcity, right? We would go to the grocery store and there's no eggs, there's no chicken, there's no milk. So now you're buying even more in bulk and you have to store it. And the problem is we never finish it. And now we are creating this horrible waste. So you have some of the facts on it. Tell me how bad it is.
Yeah, it creates 30 to 40% of our food is wasted in the US. And why that matters is because all of that is going to the landfill and then it turns to methane and that affects the environment, right? So it's not just like, okay, the pear is too ripe for me to eat. I'm going to toss it out. And for me, I started down this road because I was so tired of, okay, when I'm ready to have the spinach, it's already gotten gross, right? Or when I'm
Yep.
ready to have the banana, I like my bananas to not be too ripe and it's already gone too far. And so what am I going to do with it? Well, I used to make banana bread, but now I don't. Um, so, I mean, it's amazing the food waste that's actually responsible for 8 to 10% of the greenhouse gas emissions is the food in the landfill.
Yeah, and absolutely. And also the impact on our pocket, right? It comes out to about almost $1,000 per person, not per household, per person in a household. That millions and millions of dollars. Think about all the money that you could have even given the food to food pantries versus having it rotten. So
Yep.
so
Yeah.
we as designers, I feel it's especially when we do specialize in kitchen and bathroom, we do have very important role to help reduce that. And we have the opportunity to educate our clients about how to get it done. So one of the things that I know you talk about and I talk about is technology. So what are some of the ways that we can, let's start with the refrigerator.
Yeah, so I actually saw at the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, was it last year or the year before? I think it was Baco. We'll have to double check some of these manufacturers. I'm pretty sure it was Baco that had the LED lights inside the refrigerator, the colored light. And think about, like, we've been talking about circadian rhythms for ourselves, for our sleep habits and our sleep patterns. Circadian rhythm in the refrigerator for
Oh,
food.
wow. Okay.
I
Yeah.
know, talk
Oh,
about new
yes. Okay.
technology.
All right. That must have been this show because I missed this show and it was
It
definitely
was
not
last
last
year.
year. Okay. All right.
Yeah, yeah. But there's many other refrigeration manufacturers that have been working on this for years with separate. How do they filter out the ethylene? Because produce produces ethylene when it ripens, right? And so it's all about how do we filter that out of the refrigerator and how do we separate it in the refrigerator so it's not affecting other food. Many refrigerators are trying to do that built in. Now, I like some of the refrigeration drawers that are convertible, like you can control the temperature and the humidity. And these features actually do work. They're not just for show. And, they actually work. Even on some of our lower tech refrigerators, they've got the little knobs and buttons down there, humidity and whatnot. Those actually do work. And so it's important for us to actually even get a list of the produce, like, well, which produce likes humidity, which doesn't, which likes it cooler, which doesn't. And so it's a little bit of a, actually just to take a step back, I feel like there's so much knowledge that we have lost from previous generations.
Right. So yeah, because you also talked about, remember we talked about the traditional way, which is how do you separate the different produce because produce do affect each other very differently. So even whether you keep it in the refrigerator or even on the countertop, all of us have the fruit ball, right? That was like, I don't know when
Uh,
it started, the 60s, 70s, like the fruit ball to make sure that everybody, we want
oh,
to make those fresh vegetables and fruit accessible and viewable. So our kids will go
mhm,
to that instead of the
yeah,
snack door. So
yeah,
we will go to that banana,
yeah,
but we also destroy that because we're putting everything together. So that's a
yep,
whole different,
yep.
like you said, traditional knowledge that we lost.
hmm And usually that fruit bowl is sitting out on the counter that's unprotected, possibly sitting in the sunshine, which
Yep.
makes it worse. And bananas are traditionally one of the things that you see on in that bowl, right? Because
And
bananas,
we
like,
put them
oh,
right next to the apples too, right?
yep.
So
And the apple produces the ethylene, and bananas are super sensitive. So it's like separate your apples and bananas. One, that's the first tip. Second tip, get that bowl off of the countertop, put it in the shade, but you have to separate things. So, and so the different refrigeration, we also used to use the underground cellars or under the stairs, the cellars, right? So you think of cool, dark, dry locations. So you remember years ago, we used to have those wicker baskets for in the
we did,
kitchen?
and I did one in for my clients because it was very important for her. They come from an Indian background, so they cook a lot of fresh food. But she was very much into preservation and making sure that they're not wasting. And yeah, we actually did that. It was like in the
Mhm.
20 years, I did one kitchen like
Yep.
that, and I actually saw. I think it was Ravishell. Don't get if I'm not mistaken. They actually brought it back.
Yeah.
It's the new
Yeah.
feature in their line
hmm
of accessories
hmm
that now is available.
Yeah.
So I'm
And
really excited to see it.
yeah, and there's some obviously updated looks right? It doesn't have to be the
Yes.
traditional wicker. There's some really
Yep.
contemporary ones, but the key is where we place them. Like, I would prefer to have those in a closed off separate pantry where it can be dark and a little cooler. Like, don't have the heat going on in your pantry. I don't think anybody really thinks about that, right? Don't heat the
Right.
pantry. Instead of like in some visible because it's cool looking in the kitchen that could be in the sunshine and it's not very cool, right? So yeah, we're starting to see those come back for the root cellar type vegetables, the carrots and potatoes and onions specifically. Um, yeah, so it is. Oh, back to the refrigeration too. One that I saw this last couple years or so, Signature Kitchen Suite, the under counter double drawer refrigerator. They're convertible. They're called convertible drawers. You
Yep.
can you can change the temperatures. You can, freezer versus refrigerator. Those are really useful as well because you can control the temperature and they're smaller and it's not really you're not having to have something that's integrated into the whole big main refrigerator, but something that's smaller. I've seen some that are specifically for produce as well because the temperature is definitely different than the refrigeration. You know, I've also seen a lot of technology come from the restaurant industry. Like
Interesting.
they've been doing this, Now they're
Yes.
not probably storing food as long as we are in our home.
I hope not.
Right, right. But it is super important to keep it fresh, right? So I haven't seen this brand recently, but I saw it a few years ago called Irinox, Irinox, and they had flash freezing. So when you come
Oh,
home
wow.
from the
Okay.
store, you put the
Oh,
fruit
that's
in the
right.
flash freeze, and then it stores better longer rather than just putting it straight into the freezer because then it freezes slowly, and it just some food does not freeze well.
Right. Absolutely.
But the flash freeze helps to preserve it, and like again, the restaurant industry has been doing this for years. Um, they had the dehydration, the canning, the sealing. What else? Well, there were a few different features, and so I've seen some of those begin to get into like Wolf Sub-Zero, um, so that we
And talking
can.
about Sub-Zero, I love that every refrigerator actually comes with a menu. And if you catch up one of our videos, and we'll show it here as well, they actually comes with menus that is built into every refrigerator. It's color coded and it tells you exactly how you should separate your vegetables. And check out the next photo that we're going
Yeah.
to post so you can actually see what we're talking about. And it really fantastic because it takes the guessing work out of it. The other thing that I love in technology, which people I think underestimated, but even with, I would say, your mid to lower range refrigerator, you have the glass door, which is awesome because you can actually see what it is without opening. So we all know that opening and closing refrigerator is not the best thing ever. But also there's some that now have the camera inside and tell you what you already have. And like,
Yep.
what is an amazing feature? Because how many times do we go to the grocery store and like, oh, I need cucumbers. Oh, I need tomatoes. Oh, I need this and that. And you don't really, you might not have somebody at home that's going to be standing in front of the refrigerator and tell you, or I can't tell you how many times I made my shopping list. I always talk to my Alexa and I tell her what I need. But then my husband decides to go to the grocery store and he buys stuff, doesn't remove stuff from there. So now I go to the store as well. And now we have double of everything. But if I would have been able to just like, log into the refrigerator and see what's in there, I might have not bought another set of eggs. I would not bought, another set of tomatoes or whatever it is. So I think overall, we really need to embrace technology when it comes to preserving food.
Hmm. And some of them you can scan it so it can see expiration dates. Now, that's not always going to work on a produce, although most of our produce have the little barcodes on them now too.
Yep. So you
You
never know.
know,
It might be coming
and
soon as well. But at
the
least with that, I think going back to like the more traditional is the idea of first in, first out, right? So even if you did buy extra produce, put the old one in the front, or even if it's just yogurts,
Yeah.
like put all the old stuff in the front, use that, put the new stuff in the back, so then things don't get lost in the back. And that's actually I also love. People don't really are not a big fan of the Canada app, but I actually do like it because you can see everything in there. You don't have to like go in, hello, 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 and like, like a
Everyone,
cave.
yeah, everyone is just used to the way things have always been,
Right.
right? And so they're like, "Oh, I'm losing all this space," and they're looking at the cubic units, like the storage. Like, wait, no, don't just buy a refrigerator based on how many cubic feet of storage you think you're getting, because, like, are you really stacking all that food up to the top and the full depth? Are you really using that whole square, cubic feet, so,
Yep.
it's actually better to go taller and wider and more shallow. And I also recommend like separating out some of the, especially beverages, like to reduce the number of times you're opening that refrigerator door, right? Which
Yep.
is, that glass door is helpful, but that glass door only shows you what's stored in the door or in that section, right? Like, it's
Yep.
probably not going to show you the produce drawer. So it's good to a point. But I like the ones and where we're headed in terms of, can I pull up the app and like, okay, do I really need apples? No? Okay, good.
Yep.
Because, and I don't know about you, but I am beginning to shop more often, and I'm in a small place. So I don't want a whole bunch of bananas. We're going to pick on bananas today. I
Yep.
only want like 3 or 4, because I know I can get through those without them going bad.
Yep.
And then I go to the Sunday market every week, and I think that's a growing your own produce at home.
Yes, absolutely. And I think this is where hopefully getting a lot of more influence from Japan, because in Japan, like their refrigerators are very, very small. They shop fresh. That's why in Japan, you can eat raw fish, you can eat raw chicken, you can eat raw meat, because everything is so, so fresh. And their kitchens are so small, and there's plenty of room for prep, but the storage spaces are very, very small because they do eat a lot out, but these days in the big cities, but in the smaller areas, they pretty much shop almost every day in order to get. Like, you can, think about sushi, raw fish. You can't
Yeah.
have it sitting in your refrigerator for 4 days,
Yeah.
and for me, it's also a matter of meal prep, right? So because if I don't do meal prep, and this is where my downfall is, that I will buy all this food and I'm like, Tuesday, we're having chicken enchiladas, I don't know, whatever it is. And Tuesday comes around and I'm still working at 7 o'clock at night. And my husband is like, okay, I already have dinner. And then by the time I come home, I just throw a quick salad and we're done. So now that chicken, that fish, whatever, it's sitting another day and another day and another day. And it gets to the point I'm like, I better cook it now or it's going to get expired. And it is such a waste. So I feel that like if I do my weekly meal prep on Sundays, I shop only for what I need. I already have the food prepared a lot of times because we are now empty nesters, so it's just the two of us, and who can eat the same leftover of the same meal forever? I already prepackage and freeze a lot of that stuff, so then maybe a week that I did not have meal prep, now I can just pull out those meals that are homemade, delicious. I know what's in it. It's healthy, and I can move on with it. And then maybe I even skipped, shopping a whole week completely versus sitting and then now throwing, leftovers again and again and again,
Yeah.
which is also a big problem.
Yeah. And now, thanks to the pandemic, we're so much more used to ordering groceries, having groceries delivered. So even
Yes.
for the big families that are like, no, I can't, I'm not going to go to the store 3 times a week, 2 times a week, whatever it is, well, they could do a midweek, grocery delivery, to, so again, that's just something that's new in our habits that have changed, that like to remind people. So I was thinking about that. And the other thing I was thinking about is now with talk about technology, now with
Yes.
AI, like I could even say, okay, and we could do this online as well, but now I could actually talk to it, right? And say, okay, these are the ingredients I have. What recipes, make me a grocery list, or work with what I have in the pantry and give me some recipes.
Yeah, and that's perfect. And I actually love doing that because, as like you said, a lot of times, like I have some leftovers, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with them. So I'll just, hey, like here's what I have. Let's do it. And most of the time, I do have everything already ready made at home, already sitting there, so it's pretty easy.
Mhm.
And then talking about technology, you talked about a little bit because we talked heavily about the refrigeration, but also the different functions that now we have in the different ovens. So you talked about dehydration. So again, it's not another appliance that you need to have on a counter. There's a lot of ovens now that have it as an option.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like some of the ovens have a steam option now, there's also maybe even the dehydration. And then what's the other countertop one?
The air fry.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
thank
I
you.
hate
So,
those. I'm
um,
so happy we are like getting rid of them and they're going into the oven.
yeah. So for like everybody loves all these little countertop appliances, and we're all about clearing off the countertop. And so the
Yes.
more some of those features can be integrated into a speed oven or a traditional large oven, the better. And then it's just an education process of educating them on how to use these. So I think it's really exciting. It's an exciting time in our industry. And I just, yeah, even if I know sometimes thinking about our environment can be overwhelming and, oh, it's just me. What can I do that actually makes an impact? Well, okay, I get it. But that one thing that we actually compost instead of put in the landfill, like it all adds up. But then coming back to how much money am I wasting? And
Yes.
groceries are more and more expensive, right?
Yep.
And even though I love going to the farmer's market and supporting local, that's still a cost increase than a traditional grocery store, right? So we're talking about how much money we're wasting. And then I'm trying to eat healthy. So I want those options there. And or families who have children, they're wanting the kids to reach for something healthy. So it's just, even if one thing seems too overwhelming, come back to what does affect me, what does affect us and our homeowners that we're designing for. And I always like to talk about like practicing it ourselves first, like practice what we preach, right?
100%.
Then I
Yes.
can
Yeah.
turn around and educate, right? So the more I learn, the more I can educate. And so um yeah, we just kind of have to get back to like what matters to us. Is it money? Is it health? Is it, there's definitely reasons to make this important.
Yeah, and you don't have to take on the whole world, at once and redo everything at once, especially if you're not redoing your kitchen right now. Yes, if you are redoing your kitchen, definitely look at those priorities of how you can make it. Because at the end of the day, having one appliance not only just good for the environment because it's less plastic, less metal, less stuff that is going to break and go back to the landfill, but at the same time it will help you to be more efficient in your kitchen, but it also now helps you save on your costs as far as eating, feeding, and enjoying food and not wasting food. So looking at one thing really actually kind of brings the whole circle together, all health, wellness, waste together with one little thing that you can do changes. And if
Yeah.
you're not remodeling right now, and if you're not in a position to go and get a fancy refrigerator right now, just look at the stuff that we posted about, how can you just separate your vegetables correctly so they last longer. And that's very simple and easy, whether it's on your counter or your refrigerator. That is super, super easy thing to do without needing to do huge remodeling or huge changes in your lifestyle
Mhm.
or in your remodel. So
Yeah.
hopefully you will join us. We are We have a new hashtag. We call it the food waste fighters. So we're going to do a lot of content with that. So make sure you post your comment. And that brings me to the question of the day is, what can you do right now listening to Paula and I in your kitchen immediately that will impact food waste, whether it's taking leftovers that you're never going to eat to the food pantry before they expire, whether it's starting to separate the vegetables correctly, maybe if it's just moving the bananas to a shady place that they're not going to get rotten. So whatever it is, drop the comment below and also post on Instagram. Make sure to tag us and also use the hashtag food waste fighters. Did we miss anything, Paula? Is there anything we didn't talk about and any other tips and tricks we can give our viewers about reducing food waste?
Oh, I think we did a pretty good job, but you and I could probably talk about this and other things forever.
Yes, forever.
And I love what you said. Like, if you're not remodeling right now, it's just start with your favorite. Don't go download a whole list of how to store everything. Just make a list of okay, my spinach, my apples, my bananas, my favorite, my cilantro goes bad really fast, right?
Yes.
Just learn your favorites, right? And just start integrating a little at a time and separate your bananas from your apples, okay?
Yes. Now, on the opposite that's the other thing that here's a tip for you. So because the apples emit these gases, if you come home with your avocado and the avocado is super hard, actually put that with your apples.
And then it will be
in a paper bag. Yeah, and that will be ready tomorrow, right? Because I think avocado, it costs so much. And then we bring it super hard and we wait. And by the time it's ready, we're like, it's just rotten. Because you forgot about it, right? So if you have a really hard avocado and you want to eat it tomorrow and not forget about it, put it in a paper bag with your apples. And I promise you tomorrow, it's going to be perfect for your breakfast, for your avocado smash. Bring that lettuce that you forgot about, cup of tomatoes, and you have fantastic sandwich for your breakfast and healthy. And you didn't forget about that avocado that cost you $3.
Yeah, right. That's a great tip.
Well, thank you so much for coming and being my guest today. We are going to head to the kitchen and show them how we made this coffee. So I actually made a golden hour coffee, which is my favorite coffee. And so it has turmeric and ginger. And I will show you actually how to and what brand I'm using for the ginger and turmeric, because ginger is not that bad. You can buy it by the little root, but especially turmeric, at least in the grocery stores here in Virginia, you have to buy a whole packet. So I have a great trick about how to have just the right amount of turmeric and ginger that you will need for your drinks, for your smoothies, for your cooking. So check out the recipe. And Paula, how can our viewers get in touch with you, what area you service in, and tell us all about you before we say goodbye.
Yeah, so with Timeless Kitchen Design, I serve the greater Washington State, Seattle area. Actually, I'm kind of dabbling and I have a client in Arizona, so typically the West Coast, the Northwest area. And so Timeless Kitchen Design, actually the website is timelesskitchen.design instead of .com. So it's kind of cool. And on Instagram, Paula Kennedy, CKD. So yeah, I post a lot with educating tips and tricks out there as well, but I really enjoy following you and I can't wait to get that recipe for that coffee.
Thank you. And I love following you and your tips and your design, and always love hanging out with you in person or online. So yeah, guys, make sure you jump on Instagram and follow Paula and put some comments. And that's it for today. So follow me to the kitchen so we can make the recipe. Paula, thank you so much for being with us today, and we will see you later. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Welcome to my kitchen, and today in honor of our Seattle friend Paula and food waste, we are actually making a very healthy golden hour coffee. So some recipe don't put coffee in it. I need my coffee in the morning, so I am using coffee. It's very simple. Make your favorite cup of coffee. As you guys know, we love Weird Brothers, based here in Reston, Virginia. They have a bunch of flavors, strength, so just pick whatever one you like. So about half a cup of coffee, that should be enough. You're gonna put it into a small pot. Same thing with your milk. Again, I don't do regular milk anymore, so almond milk, oat milk. If you're still into milk, that's fine, no judging. But so it's about half a cup of whatever dairy product or almond milk, oat that you want. We're gonna add that to the pot as well. And talking about food waste, the two most important ingredients in this recipe is actually turmeric and ginger. So one of the biggest things that happens, especially in this area, I have to buy a big chunk of turmeric, which is just too much, and I never manage to finish it. So one of the things that I love whenever I'm cooking is to have the dorot. It is actually, they have different things. They actually have cilantro, basil, garlic, but I love keeping the ginger and turmeric in my refrigerator just because it's super easy to pop them wherever you need. You don't need to buy a whole big thing of ginger. You can pop it into your coffee. You can pop it, we always use it for our morning shakes. So it's each of those is considered to be 1 teaspoon. It says right here, you just keep it in the freezer. You can find it anywhere in the freezer aisle in your grocery. We just need half. So you just cut it, you do half of that, and make sure the other half doesn't run away off the countertop. And we need another half of the ginger. There you go. And I can literally, even if I'm not gonna use it, I can pop it back in the freezer, and I'm not wasting anything. So again, this is dorot, and they have just about every herb that is out there available frozen. So we added that. We gonna have a pinch of pepper. You can also do cayenne pepper if you like. And my favorite honey is honey that has lavender. A lot of time we use Scottish. This is actually happen to be Spanish, but it also has lavender. It just adds a little bit of that extra flavor for that. So we are going to put about a teaspoon of that. Depends how sweet you like your coffee, but I won't go too much because again, we're just trying to keep it healthy. So there you go. All we're going to do now is just take it to the stove, heat it up, and it's ready to go. Let's see. All right, so all you gotta do is just stir it up, boil it. With the induction, it's going to take pretty quickly. It's not gonna take much. And it's going to, even though our ginger, obviously, and turmeric were frozen, they're actually going to be melted pretty quickly. That's it. So we're just gonna wait a couple of seconds, give it a taste, see if you need to add any more honey, or if you want it a little bit more zest, you can. I like it a little bit more zesty, so I think I'm actually gonna add a little bit more ginger for mine. So I'm gonna use the other piece of ginger that I didn't use before. And we're just gonna let it sit and boil, and we'll check on it in just 2 seconds. So that's it, we're pretty much done. And now we're just going to transfer it to our cup. And you have a beautiful, healthy cup of coffee. Cheers, enjoy. Hot. I'll let it cool for a minute.